Good afternoon, YouTube land. Here's Kit in his usual state with the bonnet open and not working. Right. I'm gonna probably skip over a whole bunch of details in this just because there's months worth of faff gone in the last couple of months with trying to get Kit running. And if I stand here and tell you about everything that me and a few friends have done, this video is going to be about half an hour long, and if you're anything like me, you'll lose interest in watching after about 7 seconds. Basically, Kit's never run right since I've had him. It was originally, I think I may have mentioned this before in previous videos, it was originally a fuel injection car from factory. And it came to me with the electric pump in the tank, a fuel pressure regulator, but into a carburettor, which obviously ran okay for the previous owner. But it didn't run right when I got it, and I've never been able to get it quite right. So I bought a little electric clicky clacky pump, that little gold fellow just there, brand new out the box, obviously doing its job. That's it. Didn't think anything of it. End of. Then they started kind of moving the car around a little bit more, and once it was up to temperature, it'd start coughing and spitting up the carburettor and throwing flames out and all the stuff that makes life a little bit too exciting for when you're a bit boring. Don't mind a few flames, but as long as they're in the right place, not in the carburettor on top of fuel lines. Especially in a car that stands me at a fairly good chunk of money now, especially now it's been painted. I don't really want flames, particularly not in the wrong place anyway. Not unless I was doing one of those ones like in the Knight Rider episode. I believe he had flames up the side. That one with the stunt show thing, Summit Sammy, if I remember. Anyway, never mind. But yeah, I don't want flames around Kit at all, really. So over the course of the last, I'm going to say the best part of a year, but certainly more sort of conscious effort the last few months, me and a couple of friends have been working on Kit on and off on weekends and afternoons here and there, going, what the hell is wrong with you? Why won't you just run? We took the carburettor from Kitt because I have a good friend with a Blazer with the same engine, same running gear and everything. I think anyway. Might have a different transmission, I'm not sure, but same engine. But it's a 77, I believe, so it is a full mechanical pump and carburettor setup. So I took the carburettor to him. We tried the carburettor on his car, and it ran fine. So we're like, right, okay, it cannot be the carburettor that's the problem. So we thought, well, okay, maybe we didn't bother trying his carburettor on this car because we proved the carb wasn't the problem. So that wasn't an option. So the next thing we did was thought, well, maybe it's electronic, maybe it's timing, maybe it's something. So that is Kitt's original distributor. And the distributor that is currently in Kitt, which is residing down there, as you can see, it even has genuine K5 mud on it from my friend's Blazer. So I thought, right, maybe it's a distributor, pickups, points pickup, whatever they call them. I can't think of the name at the moment. It's the HEI distributor anyway. Maybe it was the coil getting too hot and the coil breaking down, so we just put his distributor in it, thinking, well, if it's a distributor problem with this one or it's a coil, I can't remember if that coil in there is brand new. I know all the leads and the something else I can't remember. Basically, pretty much everything is new because I've been chasing this problem for a year or more. So I was kind of sure that it wasn't going to be the distributor, but we've done the distributor swap anyway. So it's currently running his distributor, which again ran fine in his car. Run it, same problem. It's fine when it's okay when it's cold. It's never going to be perfect because it's got a manual choke. There's no manual choke cable yet, which I do need to fit. But it starts up, it runs okay, it drives, it'll go through the gears. But it's still doing the same thing. It's up to temperature once it's hot, and it's not getting ridiculously hot. It is. It's hovering around the 200-ish Fahrenheit kind of range on the temperature gauge, which, accounting for that being a little inaccurate, is about right. Especially on a hot day. It's been, most days I've been messing with it, it's been like 28, 30 degrees here, which is good. Makes a change. It had been a beautiful summer to be out in this all year. It's rained about 10 times this year in the UK, which is super, super rare. I imagine next year it'll rain 300 days a year, but hey ho. So yeah, we proved it wasn't carburetor, we proved it wasn't distributor. The next thing was, is it an ignition problem? Is something within the ignition modules in the car getting hot? And is that just cutting the spark? So we hardwired the coil to the battery, seeing if that fixes it. Same thing again, but weirdly, between us, we actually kind of thought this is actually getting slightly better. So I thought, oh, bit of confidence here now. So I actually insured it and taxed it. We have to do this thing called vehicle tax in the UK for those of you that aren't in the UK. Now, the stupid, ridiculous thing about this car is being over 40 years old in the UK, you don't need to pay road tax. It is classed as tax exempt. So basically it's free. But you still have to tell the government, because otherwise they get upset if you don't tell them you might be using a free tax car on the road. Anyway, so I taxed it. You'd have to do it all online, of course, because God forbid you actually speak to a human now in the UK. So I taxed it, insured it. We started running it and realised it wasn't running bad. Realised it was running badly. So I think the same day I cancelled the insurance and I thought, I can't be bothered with this anymore. It's going back in the garage. I'm going to leave it till next year. Forgot to untax it, as the government say. We call it SORN, Statutory Off-Road Notification. You have to notify the government you are not using your free tax vehicle, whatever, right? The UK is mental. But anyway, because I didn't do that, I then got £100 fine for having a vehicle that wasn't insured, but it was showing as taxed, even though the tax is free. And as you can see, it just resides here in the garage. But apparently in the UK, that isn't good enough, because they say, oh, well, it can be on the road, it can be used, and you're using it with no insurance. I haven't, it doesn't even run, it won't even drive a quarter mile. But that's not good enough for the government. So paid them the £100 fine, felt thoroughly annoyed at the entire situation and just thought, you know what, I don't even care, I'm just going to sell it. I can't be bothered at this point because since I actually bought Kitt, I'm actually no longer living full-time at the house where he actually is kept, because I've now moved house. There is no room at that house for Kitt because I have two other cars. This is currently not mine. I'm looking after that for a friend. That car, well, actually, I always forget this one. This is my other third car. Basically, that's been unused for a few years. I need to do something with that. Part of me thinks that I should have put the money into that rather than the money into Kitt, but here we are. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But so I just thought, I can't be bothered with this. If I'm going to even get fines for not even using the damn thing, I just can't be bothered. So I just fell out with it for a few weeks, basically. Then long story short, there is a car show a very, very short drive from this house. So I took him down there a few weeks ago and tons of attention, suggested to a few people, look, I might be selling it, I just can't be doing with it. Usual tyre kickers going, oh yeah, what do you want for it? You know, I bet you want £50,000 and all that kind of thing, and usual sarcasm of, oh, I'll give you £4.50 and a half-eaten Mars bar, that kind of thing. But it is what it is. I'd take it all with a pinch of salt. So all I've done since really is just leave him. Now, another friend came and looked at it. There's a hell of a lot of good friends involved in this whole scenario. I owe a lot of people a lot of breakfasts and pints over this too, which I don't mind. I'd be lost without all the help that I've had from this. It's been brilliant. But yeah, somebody else said, well, are you sure that fuel pump's okay? And I'm like, of course the fuel pump's okay. It's brand new, okay? It's only a farty little thing, but it supplies enough fuel. It doesn't lean out or anything. The float bowls are always full. It's fine. And then thought, well, somebody says, well, put an inline fuel filter in it. You can see if the fuel filter is supplying enough fuel. Now, me being me, I thought, that's really obvious. Why didn't I think of that a year ago? But then at the same time, none of us really thought of it. So it is what it is, but it was a brilliant suggestion. So off I went and picked up a fuel filter on my way home from work one day. I think it was all of about £3 or whatever. Now, if you look down in here, obviously the car hasn't run for a week or more now. You can see it's kind of half full there. That'll do. But when it's running, Mr. Fuel Pump here, I noticed, gets absolutely nuclear hot. Right? And I'm talking, you can barely touch it. I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, well, it's pumping hot fuel. It's been 30 plus degrees nearly every time I've messed around with the car. So, of course, it's hot. It's the engine's, the engine's running at whatever, 100, I don't know, 90 odd Celsius or whatever. And get mixed up with Celsius and Fahrenheit because the dash reads in Fahrenheit. Your engine's running at sort of 100 Celsius or whatever. It's 30 odd Celsius outside. Of course, the fuel pump's going to be hot. It's hot. Everything's hot in a car. So I didn't really think anything of it. But last week I think it was, I realised it was mentally hot, like worryingly hot. So I stuck this fuel filter in and realised that I don't think the fuel pump's supplying enough fuel. Which, I should have thought about a long time ago. So basically, I'm hoping that is the problem, is that it's just running out of fuel, which is odd because every time I've looked at the fuel bowls, the float bowls, even when it's hot, they've been full, but it's kind of a last straw sort of thing at the moment, other than going down the route of compression testing and leak down tests and all that kind of thing. So what I've got now is, again, from my good friend whose engine we tried the carburettor on and whose distributor is currently on Kitt, I've borrowed yet more parts from him. Poor guy, it's a good thing he doesn't want to use his car currently. I borrowed the mechanical fuel pump. Now that mechanical fuel pump, this was another problem I was thinking of with this car, is because being a fuel injection car, strictly speaking, it possibly wouldn't have the cam lobe for driving the mechanical fuel pump. So from him, I borrowed the fuel pump drive rod, the plate that it fits behind, and the mechanical fuel pump itself. I fitted it one day last week, ran the car from the electric pump still. I didn't plumb it into the system because I didn't know if it was going to be dry or not, whether the fuel pump would run. Put a fuel can like that little fella there with some fuel in, started it up. Within about 3 seconds it emptied the can, so obviously the pump is pumping. That proves that it has a cam lobe. So that basically means, because none of us kind of knew whether these being fuel injection engines had the cam lobe for the mechanical pump down there or not, so it proved that it has the mechanical fuel pump lobe to drive the fuel pump, which means that we no longer need the electronic pump, because you have been potentially the cause of hours of aggro and headaches and one of the reasons for my receding hairline. So I'm not happy about that. Good old Chinese fuel pump. Don't buy a fuel pump from China, right? But everything's from China now. But anyway, so I went on Rock Auto. This is going on, this video. I apologise for anyone who's still watching. I'm going to get to the point a bit more in a moment. I ordered a fuel pump from Rock Auto and all the associated bits, as well as some parts for my Mustang that I want as well. Thinking they'd arrive in 3 days like they do. They didn't. So it's now currently Friday. I ordered these parts on Monday, I believe it was, or maybe Sunday, I can't remember. It's normally about 3 days, but yeah, they didn't come. So what I'm going to do today is just temporarily plumb in my friend's fuel pump into the system, see if it runs, see if it gets that, and run it up to temperature basically. Let's see if I can get you guys kind of sat here like that, and then see if I can get my phone to fall on the floor and break. That'll do for a minute. So all I'm going to do today is plumb in this fuel pump from my friend's car and basically see if Kitt runs once it's up to temperature. I mean, the other thing was, with it seemingly being a temperature problem, is I'm thinking, well, is it is it head gaskets? Is it something wrong in the intake? Maybe intake gaskets and things. But then I've never had the intake off on this car. I've never needed to. But yeah, it's just one of those things. So what I'm kind of hoping for now, is that I can now just take this little fuel line here, and hopefully it should be a little bit too short. Yes, look at that, you see. That's how we like it. The appropriate level of disappointment. Just short enough so it won't go from there to there. Luckily I've got some extra fuel line. Got a couple of pieces. This whole saga is just kind of going on and on. It's kind of made me go, do you know what, I just don't want this car anymore. And think about selling it on about 300 occasions. Not necessarily just to do with the car, but it's like I say, I currently don't live where the car lives. So I've got to make time to get over here to look at it, make time to faff, that around work and everything else. As everybody in the entire world knows, you only get a certain amount of time in your life. And you don't always want to spend it doing stuff like this. And I'm also noticing that the lighting is terrible, but I'm afraid I can't do a lot about that. Yep. So this is not going to be a perfect job by any means, because this is all going to be undone when my parts actually arrive. But this is going to be a... That'll fit on there now. Lovely, lovely. Just far enough from the fuel fan, from the cooling fan, just enough to keep it exciting. But I'm kind of hoping that... A pair of pliers on that. Kind of hoping that this will, if nothing else, prove the point that it will run up to temperature and not start being a pain. Because if it doesn't, like I said before, me and pretty much everyone that I know that we've asked about this running problem, we're kind of out of ideas. The only other... Oh, thought I was tight. People call me tight. But yeah, we're all kind of running out of ideas between us, really. Right, that requires some better tooling, so I'm going to pause the video here and I will be back in a moment. And we're back. Right, so found myself a little knifey thing and some little mole grippy type things, as they call them. So I'm going to give that a bit of a rundown there, since this fuel line's had it anyway and it's coming off and going in the bin. But the other thing I was also thinking with this car, there we go. I think that's seen better days anyway, it's a bit soggy. The other thing as well with this car is this whole running problem is it fuel? Oh, is it a bad batch of fuel and all that kind of thing? I can imagine everyone sort of wondering that. The short answer is no, it isn't. Because it has several different fuels in the tank. I've topped it up a little bit at a time as I've kind of got along. I don't know why I threw that over there. I need that to clip off that. So it isn't a bad batch of fuel because it's fairly well diluted. If there is a bad batch of fuel in there, and I'm talking 2 gallons or so, there is at least 20 good gallons in there. Just because I don't tend to sort of go out and fill it all in one go kind of thing. I've just sort of kind of topped it up a little bit as I've gone along. So it isn't fuel, basically, is what I'm getting at. So I believe my next thing is really to move this out of the way. The old carburettor lid off. That was fancy. Maybe I ought to polish that up one day. It would look nice if that was all polished up. There's one thing, I wouldn't have liked to have been working on the set of Knight Rider trying to keep these things running in the 80s. 100-degree heat and whatever in the desert, mucking about trying to keep these things running. That would have been fair. That would have been I suppose it's one of the things, sides of TV programmes that you don't see, is just the logistics that are involved. You don't get to see as much of that. I'm more interested in the glamorous side of it, where you just get on with it and it all looks cool on TV. I'm really not much for fixing things, and I think certainly the older I've got, the less interested in fixing things I've become. In fact, I've become extremely uninterested in fixing things the older I've gotten, actually. If only I'd taken that clip off and put that on there. But I am going to just leave the electric fuel system in place as well, just because I purely can't be bothered to take it out. And as I say, all of this is temporary, because that pump that is down there is going to, just put you guys down here for a second. There we go. The pump that is currently on the car is going to have to go back to my friend anyway, when hopefully my actual pump for Kitt arrives. I don't know, whenever Rock Auto, well, FedEx now, because FedEx has got it. It's funny because they're usually pretty good, but whenever FedEx decide they're going to bring it to me. There's a screwdriver around here somewhere. Yeah. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go for another pause in a moment, because there's no point wasting time. And if anybody's still watching at this point, there's no point wasting people's watching time, watching me struggling with a hose for about 10 minutes to get it on, when I can just press pause and bring you back in a moment when I actually go for a start-up. So, as they say, without further ado, I'll pause and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, and we're back again. I'm almost sounding excited about this, because I wildly am, because if this is actually the cure to the problem, I'm going to be over the moon, because I was, well, not only me, but me and several of my friends were all just basically not at our wit's end with it, but just at our, well, I don't know, what is it? So if this cures it, we're going to be beyond that stage and we're going to be perfectly fine forever. And I'll be, as they say, off out in that tonight. Now this does have a 3-way fuel pump on it, which is obviously in, out, which you can't see, but it's out back there, up to the carburettor. And what I always thought was the fuel return line, but apparently it isn't a return. Apparently it's a safety thing in case the diaphragm splits and it returns to the tank. Back on there, that's where the fuel pump was. I've taken that out for the time being. So I'm kind of hoping that isn't really a problem. I don't think it'll return any fuel because it'll be using it all. I'll just have to wait and see. But either way, need the lid for the carburettor. Do I? Yeah, put that back and put the old air cleaner back on. Looks the part then as well. And if it starts spitting flames, it contains them a little bit as well. But you can see it's had a few spits back up the carburettor there. But we are where we are. Maybe I ought to invest in some kind of a thing to mount my phone on. So I'm not doing all this one-handed. But anyway. Sorted. Right, so we have fuel line from the tank into the pump doing pump things, back up round into the carburettor. That's why I should have left that off, so I can keep my eye out for fuel leaks, but I'll do that in a moment. Battery, don't need that. See you later. There's the other earth line, earth strap there. Always earth your fuel strap to your fuel pump too. Seems a sensible option. This is about 3 days too long as well, this earth strap is, but never mind. It is what it is. It's doing the job. There's a little wing up there. Come here, you. There we go. If I lose that, I'm shit out of luck. And to be honest, if I lose that at the moment, I'm just going to go, do you know what? This is just not happening, and probably just go out for the day, really. So, let's get him tightened up and in there. And the question is the battery flat? I'm going to go with yes. But time will tell in about 12 seconds. 25 minutes this has been going on for. Apologies for anybody still watching if you are, but maybe it's going to be worth it about now. Right. The moment-ish of truth. Because it's got to get fuel from the tank, I guess. Okay, it's running. That's good. You probably can't hear me now either, but yep, and fuel is absolutely pouring out of that. So that's that problem. And we've emptied half the fuel tank out onto the floor. So duly noted, I can't do that. That needs either blocking off or something. Yes, that's not the best of things. There's money running on the floor. Right, okay. Mild disappointment. I guess that can't be done for the time being then, because the amount of fuel returning out of that fuel line is way too much to clamp. If I clamp that, it's probably going to just bugger up the pump, and I don't really want to kill my friend's fuel pump, to be honest with you. Thought I could smell fuel. Doesn't smell off though, that's a good thing. But it runs, and it runs off the pump. So, you know, that's kind of a win for the time being. I don't think there's a lot else I can do really at this point, so I'm probably just going to end this video, because we're already at 27, nearly 28 minutes, and quite frankly, if you're still here watching this, you probably either fallen asleep with the TV on or with your phone on your face, and you don't have anything better to do. A bit like me really today. I'm going to call that about a 30 to 40% success today then. Basically, I've just got to wait for the new fuel pump to arrive, which I don't believe will arrive till Monday, which means it's probably going to be another week till I get to do this. But yeah, mild success maybe. If you're still interested, you know, subscribe to this, because if this is actually the cure to the problem, I do actually intend on using Kitt a little bit more, so I'm going to do some road videos with him. I'm going to get out on the road, get to some shows and stuff. We're still a good few shows to get to in the year, hopefully, here in the UK. It's just the beginning of August, so there should be a few things to get to. So yeah, hopefully if that's it, I will actually get some miles out of him, but not with half the fuel tank pouring all over the floor. Petrol's way too expensive to do that. So yeah, there you go. As always, as I always say, thanks for watching. If you do enjoy this sort of thing, you know, give it a like if you can, if you don't mind. Subscribe as well, because to be honest, the more people that do, the more I will possibly make videos on Kitt and just stuff I do in general. You know, if anything, you know, like I've said before, if the subscriptions aren't there and people aren't really watching and the views aren't there, it's not really worth me taking the time and the effort, I suppose. Not that I put a lot of effort in, as you can all tell. But I might as well just get on with things and not bother if nobody's going to watch. But yeah, so I will make another video when I get the fuel pump, and I'll take it from there. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon. Here he is, with the proper flag in the background too. Right, catch you all later.